Really? I guess. I only took a few, and most of them are scenery shots. You can see for yourself. Chen, let's take a look at Miss Wen's photos. One moment. There are still a few questions I would like to ask Miss Wen. Ask away, great detective. Are you writing a report on the ironworks? As you are writing a report on the ironworks, you must know its recent developments. Well, of course. I'm a senior reporter. It's really difficult for national enterprises like the Hanyang ironworks to develop and grow. They need to buy foreign equipment. Even mineral resources are controlled by foreigners. At the market, foreigners control the right to build most railways in China. They're the ones who decide whose steel rails to buy and what the standards for testing are. Take the Shanghai Nanjing Railway with a British chief engineer, for example. The agreement specifies that the British in charge of the purchasing takes a commission of 5%. Naturally, the British will choose to buy Western products to gain more profit. Were we not back? Did we lose a bunch? Oh, for God's sakes, again? Yeah, I see that. Yeah, I guess so. I swear I've had more problems since I switched to fiber. I'm not even convinced that I really have fiber. I need somebody who knows what they're doing to come check my cords. Because they didn't actually install any fiber cords. They claimed that there was actually already fiber wired into the house from the last people who had it. When they purchased steel rails, they would nitpick at Hanyang Ironworks products. Recently, the ironworks is more competitive due to a new method that greatly reduced costs. However, rumors about the bad quality of its steel rails have sent the ironworks to rock bottom. No wonder Deputy Administrator Lee seems so anxious. That's why he hopes that my news report can help them restore their reputation. Ask away, great detective. By taking loans, foreigners are acquired the rights to build. Oh, I just did this. A stack of documents, a bottle of ink, and a quill pen are placed on the desk. Huh? This is a chemical test report for steel. Steel in this report is made by using coal from Westphalia. All indexes are up to standard. Steel in this report was made by a mixture of Chinese cokeries and anthracite. What a shame. Due to the high phosphorus content, fragmentation easily appears in the steel. Seems the choice of fuel really affects the quality of the steel. On the left is a photo of Hanyang Ironworks freight dock. In the middle is the photo of the molten steel basin. You've seen this one before. It's Photo was taken in the office on the furnace factory floor. This picture is different. The office in the photo looks different to what it's like now. Miss Wen, was this photo taken yesterday evening as well? Yep, what about it? This detail in the photo differs from how the office is now. This photo in the detail in the photo differs from how the office is now. That seems quite peculiar. Shen, the blueprints on the wall changed. In the photo, a flowchart of the steelmaking process was placed above the map. But now it's a working drawing of the open hearth furnace. Furthermore, the map in the photo looks evidently more worn down. Who did it? Why would they suddenly make such a change? When the incident occurred, I was in the office. The blueprints were switched out then. Shen, do you think this could be related to Foreman Ting's death? It's hard to believe there is no connection whatsoever between the two. Could it be the suspect did it? We cannot rule out the possibility that Foreman Ting did this. Was it necessary for Foreman Ting to replace the flowchart with a working drawing? Could you not surprise me like that? Could you not avoid the subject? Answer me. Was it necessary for Foreman Ting to replace the flowchart with a working drawing? There was no need. Both furnaces are in operation. It didn't make sense to hang the working drawing up again. Foreman Ting had no reason to change the blueprints, nor did the other workers. Unless the suspect did it. Go on. Does the suspect have a valid reason to replace the blueprints? It's gotta be one or two. My gut tells me it's this one. Clearly there was some information on the paper they did not want us to see. In order to destroy it, they switched out both of the blueprints. So, what kind of information was it? Nothing special about the two blueprints in the photo. No traces of handwriting on them either. Aside from its worn out state, the map is the exact same as the map on the wall now. Perhaps the information exists in some kind of hidden way? For example, ink that can only be shown under certain circumstances. Or perhaps the paper has undergone special treatment. there's such hidden information, there'd be no need to replace the blueprints. I think that's my first wrong one. I just don't understand what the sentence means. I don't understand the sentence. The information could only have been left alone. What? What does that mean? After the photo was taken, new information appeared on the blueprints that were torn off. Okay. That doesn't mean anything to the sentence was left alone. I feel like that's the first weird translation thing so far, where I genuinely don't understand what it even means by that. The front page was specifically like, hey, please let us know if there's a translation problem. But I don't want to complain to them, but also I don't know if it's better to do it. I feel like I might. Because I still understand what was left alone means in this context. So, what's the new information? There are too many possibilities. No, the suspect only has one reason to hide evidence. The hidden evidence will reveal their crime. Rumors say Ting was killed by ghosts, but he was most likely murdered before falling into the ladle. I don't know. For a second, I thought that I had dropped frames again. Might be just might even not be my internet. It might be just because my computer needs cleaning out and is getting old and such. Hmm. Well, I wanted to see. I guess I can't see the photo. Oh, I can't see the photos. I feel like if it was blood, it's not the only paper that would have had to be replaced. Could it be that Foreman Ting left a dying message on the blueprints? No, why would he do that on the blueprints? I don't understand why any of those three things would be true. I guess bloodstain was the best guess. there a need to write a dying message on 2 large sheets of paper placed next to each other? No. Yeah. There's no need to write on the wall. There's an abundance of paper in the office. I guess bloodstains. There's most likely bloodstains. The suspect is trying to make people believe Ting was killed by ghosts. If bloodstain was found on the factory floor, the schemes would be exposed. Evidence. Give me evidence that supports your deduction. Hello, Sunshine. Evidence. What other evidence have I yet to consider? Evidence that could indirectly prove that the deceased was injured and bleeding is... That's right. Foreman Ting abnormally wore a headcloth this morning. Why would he be covering it up? Why wouldn't he want... If he's still alive and walking around while actively being murdered, I feel he would want people to notice. The headcloth may have been used to cover the scars and bloodstains on his head. However, this is not enough to prove the hypothesis I just made. Unfortunately, the body has been destroyed. Otherwise, an autopsy would reveal everything. Even if it's just a hypothesis, at least it tells us that the primary crime scene is most likely the office. Oh, yep, that's because the game is muted. Well, apparently nobody thought to say anything about that before you. So, I'm glad that's just been like that for an hour. Chen! Are you alright? Did your headache act up again? I'm fine. Just now, I have understood something. It is most likely that the office was the... Yeah, on at all is probably a much better volume, yes. It was fully muted. And somehow nobody mentioned it. I'm still quiet. It is most likely that the office was the primary crime scene. The blueprints were switched out because blood splattered across them. Ah, so that's what it was. However, this is just a hypothesis. We need to find a way to prove it. If blood splattered on the blueprints, we should be able to find bloodstains on the wall. But we didn't find anything at all. It must have been wiped clean. If only we could find a way to test for it. Look, Shen. It's a portrait of Zhang Zhidong. Mr. Zhang advocates education and industry. He is a person I admire greatly. There are several test tubes and a scale on the laboratory table. Mr. Shen, what else would you like to know? Mr. Ho, you seem quite familiar with Mr. Robinson. I speak a bit of Mr. Robinson's language, so sometimes I can help him with communications. Mr. Robertson is an interesting person. I enjoy talking with him. How was Foreman Ting's relationship with Mr. Robinson? Foreman Ting used to be Mr. Robinson's assistant, but the relationship was never too close. You've both probably already heard about Foreman Ting beating up Mr. Robinson a while ago. No? What was the specific reason for that? Foreman Ting came to ask Mr. Robinson privately to help him test steel made by his methods. Mr. Robinson agreed and ran tests over and over, but the results were unsatisfactory. Foreman Ting was quite stubborn and insisted that Mr. Robinson was being half-hearted. Mr. Robinson only meant to help, so naturally he resented Foreman Ting's accusations. Mr. Robinson's words became quite harsh. Foreman Ting was so angry that he beat up Mr. Robinson. The matter was only resolved when Mr. Lee stepped in. After all, Foreman Ting was just too eager to achieve success. Mr. Shen, what else would you like to know? If to be true, thither is aught I can help thee with, prithee do let me knoweth. Mr. Robinson, could I ask you to give us an introduction to the tasks of a chemist? To beest able smelt metals. To beest able to smelt metals, 'tis behoviful to understandeth the composition of the materials. Ere deciding the ingredients, proportions, and which refining process to useth. Mr. Robinson is saying, before steel making, we need to know the composition of the materials. Then we decide on the ingredients, proportions, and which refining process to use. I know behoove, but I've never heard behooveful before. But a lot of the words he's using are like weird tenses of words I've never heard used in that tense before. He is responsible for running tests on the composition of various minerals throughout chemistry. So Mr. Robinson is also in charge of chemical testing for the quality of the steel rails, right? We doth not hath the arts to explore the caliber of steel rails. What Mr. Robinson means to say is that the Ironworks laboratory does not have the credentials to run tests on steel rails. Credentials? Railway constructors, mainly foreign companies, have their own preferred testing institutions. The test report issued by our Ironworks are... The test reports issued by our Ironworks. Our Ironworks is like a hell of a pair of words to say next to each other, surprisingly. The test reports issued by our ironworks are unable to get approved. These speaketh the truth, Ho. If to be true, I heard that he once served as your assistant. Why was he transferred to the factory floor? Ting was very talented. I applaud his contributions as mine aid. He doth help me in many ways, and in returneth I eke did giveth him bounteous rewards. Weird pause. Coical so, he did maketh an unforgivable misprision. He was a cutpurse. Oh. He did steal my notes, which did hath multitudinous data of the essence. He eke did steal laboratory instruments, then did return them the next morn. Oh, me the gods, did doth truly bethink yond I would not find it out? Everything hither that hath fixed replacement. I did not knoweth of his trickery after time. Sounds like Formanting just wanted to gain more knowledge? The lab hath its own rules. They're not like people who doth not followeth the rules. I me's going to worketh in the factory floor was the superior answer for Ting. If to be true thither is aught I can help thee with, prithee do let me know. Alright. I speak Old English well. This is just like Old English soup. It's like a bizarre mix. I think it's deliberately trying to represent that, like, he speaks in a way that's difficult for us, I think. That, like, he speaks a dialect of English that we're struggling with, I guess. Except that I'm a little bit surprised about that, because we know Shen spoke English, like, he spoke in London, but he didn't live in London. And to be fair, the other guy in London was also translated kind of weird and difficultly. Like, maybe the point was to— oh my gosh. Stop. Like, maybe the point was to yeah, exactly, like the Southern Vibe guy or the cop from London, where it's meant to be like slightly intentionally difficult. A variety of reagents are displayed in this cabinet. Hydrochloric acid, nitric acid, sulfuric acid, ammonia, hydrogen peroxide. They really do have everything. Oh, phew. What kind of experiments are these reagents used for? They're mainly used to test the composition of minerals and steel. Let's see. Chen? Are you alright? I am. I just remembered a few very unpleasant memories. I'm gonna have to watch that back in slow motion. As long as you're fine? Shen, I just found a bottle of reagent that's quite rare. Perhaps it can be of use. Shen, I've got an idea. In my father's notes, I once read about an ammonia powder that glows when it reacts with blood. Never thought this laboratory would have it. See? This one. The scientific name for it is 3-amino Amino. How do I make the f and the th sound next to each other? Aminophthal, probably aminophthal hydrazide. Aminophthal hydrazide. Yeah, I got there. I can try to prepare a blood detection reagent. That would be wonderful. Let's go borrow Mr. Robinson's laboratory table. It's time to prepare the blood detection reagent. Remember, left for items, right for weights. Left for items, right for weights. I just need to follow my father's notes, step by step. I'm sure it'll be made perfectly. Left for items, right for weights. 0.2 grams of luminol. How do I... luminol. I almost didn't notice these numbers. 6 grams of now. 0.6 grams of now. 0.6. Oh, just regular 6. 6 grams, not 0.6. 6 grams of now. Now. 2, 3. 90 milliliters of water? I don't... Ah. I was like, there's no liquids here. Distilled water. How much? 90 milliliters. Oh no. It's the beaker puzzles from Rusty Lake again. 120 minus 30 is 90, right? Am I stupid? Let me just double check. I think yeah. Okay, and 40 milliliters of H2O2. H2O2. How many? 40. Okay. $40 milliliters. What's 120 minus 50? Hold on. I'll use a calculator. I feel like that's the only thing it could be, though. Oh, it's 70. Okay. And then if I have 70, it's 70 minus 30. Oh. Thanks guys, but don't tell me the answers unless I say I'm stuck. I want to try and solve the puzzles. H2O2. So 120 minus 50. And then minus 30. Well, classic me. Blood detection reagent is all done. Classic me. What does that even mean, Afu? Classic me being able to read basic instructions. Excellent. Let's go to the office for verification. Well, I will, but first I'm going to finish looking at all this stuff. This monument was erected when Hanyang Iron Works was first put into operation. At the time, there was quite a few foreign engineers who came to work at the ironworks. These gunny sacks are filled with lime. I know he means lime, like limestone. I definitely did think of like a bag of limes for like a millisecond. How's the investigation going, you guys? We're still investigating. Now, there's some questions we'd like to ask you, Mr. Patrolman. However, we're short on time, so we hope that you can be straight with us. Where's this coming from? My headache is sometimes good and sometimes bad. Then is it good or bad right now? This guy made us bribe him to let us into the damn office, even though we were supposed to have them run to the place. That's why Afu is being grumpy. With a murderous suspect on the loose in the ironworks, Mr. Lee is already troubled enough. If there's anything you want to know, you can try asking me. You can give it a shot. Did Foreman Ting ever had a problem with anyone? There's quite a few. Let's count. Awu in first. Was it because Foreman Ting was strict and paid Awu wages late? Not entirely. Ting was stricter with Awu more than he was with anyone else, so Awu hated him. Foreman Ting came from a backwater countryside and was the youngest in his family. In the past 2 years, his family died of illness, or old age. He was the last one left. He was also an old bachelor. There's no one to even handle his funeral affairs. Awu was also born to a poor family. He's clever. Everyone knows that Ting treated him like his son. Alas, it's regrettable that Ting was obsessed with steelmaking. He was not considerate at all. Obviously, he meant well, but sometimes his words sounded harsh and mean. That's why Awu kicked over his shrine a while ago. That's right, and it made him really dizzy and stuff because it was full of chemicals. So, Foreman Ting was quite alone. Sounds so pitiful. Other than Awu, who did Foreman Ting have a dispute with? Old Lee is also quite stubborn, so these two stubborn old men often fought. Also, a while back, Foreman Ting even beat up that foreign boss from the laboratory. Thanks to his bad temper, he lost his job in the lab and became a labor foreman here. If there's anything you want to know, you can try asking. I'm sure it's just pig iron underneath this tarpaulin. Never heard the full word for tarp used so often. In fact, I'm not even sure I've heard it outside of like maybe once in my life. Huh? This isn't pig iron. Shen! There are rubber blocks piled underneath here. A large quantity of rubber. Is there a need for rubber in the process of steelmaking? Not at all! These rubber blocks belong to Mr. Lee. They're just temporarily stacked here. Afu, under our feet.
Huh?
Ah, these are scraps of rubber. That means someone processed rubber blocks here. There's a uniform over here. Looks really dirty. It's all covered in rust. Only a worker in the charging area can make their clothes this dirty. Sir, do you know whom this clothes belongs to? You can ask around and see which workers came by the warehouse today. Are you sure this uniform was discarded today? I just cleaned this place up with old Chaw and the others last night before we got off work. The situation is worth recording. A file, a screwdriver, a saw, a wrench. There are a lot of tools placed on top of this chest. Hold it right there, Mr. Shen. What's wrong, Mr. Patrolman? Can't go through. That elevator leads to the second floor. The conveyor door is locked. Even if you went up, you'd have to come back down. Oldly, the factory floor is already quite arid. Why is there a tarpaulin covering the iron? Ting instructed us to do so. He was afraid the bulk material in the iron would be mixed up. Oldly, there are still a few questions I'd like to ask you about this morning's incident. If there's anything else you need to ask, just ask. Sheng briefed him on the stuff. So, you're saying Foreman Ting was murdered? It wasn't because he provoked that thing in the shrine? Of course not. We went to the office and nothing happened. Oldly, between last night and this morning, have you noticed anything unusual? Or perhaps have you heard any strange noises? Nothing unusual or strange noises. Were you working on the second floor all night? Yes. Sometimes I take a break, but I never left, not even for a second. He spent his whole night on the second floor and found nothing unusual. That it conflicts with... The movements of the crane hook are exceedingly noisy. If you were really here all night, how could you not have known that someone used the crane hook last night? Unless you were the person who moved the crane hook. It wasn't me! Last night, I did in fact leave the second floor furnace area. Where did you go? I stayed up past midnight. I was very hungry. Went to the dock to have a midnight snack. No way! If you left, who was looking after the furnace? The furnace could be unattended for an hour after materials are shoveled in. Patrolman Koo can prove it. Whenever I'm on duty, we go to the dock together around that time. I swear, I'm not lying. We'll trust your words for now. Is there anything else you're hiding from us? No. Oldly, have you ever opened the conveyor door after the incident? Well, that's... If you keep fumbling, it'll just increase our suspicions. Well... Fine then. After the incident, I did open the conveyor door without permission. The fire was so intense. It was only natural that I fear death. Oh, Lee, it's only human nature to flee for your life. But why did you keep this a secret earlier? There are rules of operation that require workers to put out the fire as a priority. I didn't have the guts to stay, but I was afraid they would cut my pay. I have a family to support, so many mouths to feed. They were gonna cut his pay for not staying in the fire. Be at ease, Oldly. We just want to uncover the truth. We did not intend to cause you any trouble. Yeah, thanks a lot. Oldly, did you lock the conveyor door at a later time? Yes, it's embarrassing to admit. Are you the only person who holds the key to the conveyor door? I'm the only person on the factory floor that has the keys. We would like to try and take the elevator. Please open the doors for us. Will do. How did you two come out from there? We're investigating any nook and cranny that seems suspicious. Let's see if I can ask him about the... When the incident occurred, were you in this warehouse? Did you see anyone get off the elevator? I don't know. I was in front of the opposite doors at the time. Is this warehouse usually locked? Does anyone stand guard? The warehouse isn't usually locked or guarded. There's nothing of importance kept there. Oldie claims that whenever he's on duty, he goes to the dock with you to eat a midnight snack. You know about that already? Was that the case last night? We were just taking a little break. Well, I was gonna ask him about the uniform, like the game told me to, but alright. I know the principal behind the agent. What's the difference? I would probably knocked over the certain reagents, causing a reaction that produced smoke. Can you think of the specific reaction? What did the workers actually perceive? Smoke or fog? Shen, you asked me too soon. Give me some time to think this. I don't know what any of these things are. I feel like I should look at the back of the statue again to remember what was in there, but I don't remember what was in there at this exact second. Alright, so hydrogen... So dihydrogen... I don't know what H2SO4 is. I don't know what any of these are. Okay, so great. Trying to remember what I saw behind there. Well, I guess if I'm assuming it's a mixture, I'll just pick the one that's a mixture. There was concentrated hydrochloric acid and concentrated sulfuric acid in the cabinet, which I definitely know what their elemental denotions are, so I definitely remember that that's what those were. When hydrochloric acid and sulfuric acid meet, they produce a large amount of white fog. The fog is irritating to the throat, which should be the reason Awu fell ill. Then how do we explain the smell of fireworks on site? Yeah, the gunpowder. Right, I forgot about that. Shen, give me some time to think this. Okay, so it was actually this. Remember when Awu kicked the shrine? He knocked over the concentrated nitric acid in the cabinet. The acid has a gunpowder smell. When it evaporates, it produces a yellowish white smoke. If that's the case, Awu fell ill because he inhaled acid? Yes. Nitric acid harms the respiratory tract. Awu was close by. He probably inhaled a lot. They're afraid of ghosts and they don't know chemistry. It's easy for them to be superstitious. Afu, that was good deducting. Yeah, I definitely didn't click every wrong answer first. Classic me. Shun, Once I saw the rubber blocks, I understood everything. The pungent gray white powder we found on site was residue from burning rubber. You mean to say that the murderer had set up a rubber rod there as a railing? The rubber I had seen in the past is soft and incapable of supporting the weight of a person. What we found in the warehouse was not just ordinary rubber, but vulcanized hard rubber. At ambient temperature, it can sustain a person's weight and won't easily become deformed. But once the outlet shutter is opened and the temperature close by rises rapidly, the rubber will soften and deform, causing Formantin to topple over. From a distance, it would seem like the railing suddenly disappeared. It appears the murderer is very familiar with what is stored inside the warehouse. I know how to speak. Apparently, worshipping the shrine behind closed doors was just a cover. Formantin was actually conducting some kind of chemical experiment in secret. But there's a laboratory in the factory. Why didn't he just go there to conduct his experiments? Obviously, he did not want anyone to know. He must have had a reason. After the incident, Old Lee had opened the conveyor door, so the suspect probably left through it? The splashes of molten steel makes it impossible to pass through the stairs in front. For a long time after the incident, the conveyor door was the only way to leave the second floor. Shen, I understand now. There are only 3 possibilities. The murderer was Old Lee, someone Old Lee covered for, or someone left the scene after Old Lee. Oops. I didn't mean to. Doesn't this mean that the person who didn't arrive at the scene immediately after the incident is the most suspicious? That is true. Even if that person is not Old Lee, it would be someone who is quite familiar with Old Lee. That is why he could predict Old Lee's behavior and use it to his advantage to carry out the plan. Mr. Deputy Administrator, we suspect that the office was the scene of the crime. We need to detect blood. Shall we close the door and windows and turn off all the lights? As long as it contributes to uncovering the truth, do whatever is convenient for you two. Look, Shen, it's blood. Blood on the walls and on the floor. Is everything that is glowing a blood stain? It appears we need to reinvestigate this room. The bloodstains on the wall are mainly cast-off pattern bloodstains with a wide range. Preliminary judgment: the murder weapon was not a knife, but a blunt object instead. Huh? Could the murder weapon be something inside this room? If it's an object in this room, the murderer probably committed a crime of passion. Shen, these 2 bloodstains look really strange. This one looks like a symbol drawn on the bloodstain store. Bloodstained floor. The third one looks like a stamp. It feels somewhat familiar. Something that could leave such a large bloodstain should be the murder weapon, right? That's highly possible. Afu, this trace is very important and needs to be specifically recorded. No problem. There are 2 long cast-off patterns on the board of name badges. The cast-off range is wider than any of the cases I have seen before. Shen, the name badges are blocking the bloodstains. Should I take them down and test them? Sure, but keep record of hanging positions of each name badge. Understood. The hanging positions could also be clues. I've already tested all the name badges. There weren't any reactions to blood. The bloodstains on the copper board are continuous and unobscured. Shen, does this mean the crime took place before the workers started work? You are correct. The wall with blueprints has cast-off pattern bloodstains, as expected. The cast-off range is quite wide, so the murder weapon seems to be something that is very long. I'll take down the map and paste it back later.
Huh?
The bloodstains on the wall stop when it reaches the map. The murderer really switched out the blueprints to hide the bloodstains. Shen's deduction is incredible. There's blurry bloodstain on the floor with uneven thickness. This is a swipe pattern bloodstain left by the murderer when they cleaned up the crime scene. You see, those parallel lines at the edges are swipe marks. Scattered blood spots surrounding the blurry bloodstain that seem to be projected bloodstains. This is the result of blood colliding and splattering all around. Such traces often appear at a scene where the victim is repeatedly hit by a blunt instrument. Oops. There are no bloodstains on the wall near the code of practice. Okay, Shen, I have a bold hypothesis. Go on. My instinct tells me that the murder weapon was the statue of Gang Jing and Mo Ye. The weight is appropriate, but the shape seems a bit short. You can try and test it. Aku examined the shrine and the statue closely. There's no luminous reaction at all. I guess it wasn't the statue. Only my instincts were sharp as Shen's. I do not rely on my instincts to solve cases. Shen, do you think a steel rail sample on the display could be the murder weapon? You might as well try testing it. I can't. What's the matter? If the reagent is applied to the steel rail, the results might be inaccurate. We've already examined all the places that could be investigated within the ironworks. It's time to ask the Deputy Administrator Lee to gather everyone for deduction. No, I wasn't done.
沈先生将大家召集于此，想必已有定论。
By gathering of us all here, I'm sure Mr. Shen has come to a conclusion.
事不宜迟，还请即刻开始吧。
There's no time to waste. Please begin right away. Well, before we begin, Percival! Oh, yeah. Big. Oh, boy. Good boy. Hello, not here. You've arrived for the conclusion.
经调查，我们可以确定丁将姆之死是一桩。
Through investigations, we can confirm that the death of Foreman Ting was the result of
凶杀案。
a murder.
丁将姆坠炉的平炉2层，视为第2现场。
The furnace area where Ting's falling incident occurred was actually the secondary crime scene.
凶手利用机关，使丁将姆的尸体于众目睽睽之下坠入钢水包中，做出自杀的假象。
The murderer used a mechanism to make Ting jump into the ladle, staging a suicide.
所谓凭空消失的栏杆，其实是由橡胶削制的假栏杆。
The presumed disappearing railing was actually a fake railing made from rubber.
我们在工厂的仓库中发现了一批硬质橡胶块，还有加工它的痕迹。
We found a batch of hard rubber blocks in the warehouse, as well as traces from processing them.
这种硫化后的橡胶在室温下不会轻易变形。
That kind of vulcanized rubber won't easily deform at room temperature.
当钢水流出时，附近的温度迅速提升，橡胶逐渐变软。
But when molten steel flows out, the rubber will gradually soften due to the burning heat.
软化后的橡胶栏杆无法再支撑任何重量。
The softened rubber railing wouldn't be able to sustain any weight at all.
丁将姆的坠炉引发了爆炸，橡胶栏杆遇高温燃烧殆尽，凭空消失。
Ting's falling caused an explosion, burning up the rubber railing, which disappeared completely.
现场的灰白色粉末，便是燃烧后的残留物。
The grayish-white powder we found on site was the residue from the burning of rubber.
仓库的那批橡胶是枪炮厂暂存在本厂的。
Those rubber blocks belong to Hubei Arsenal. They are stored here temporarily.
物料经被别有用心之人利用。
Who knew it would be used by someone with ulterior motives?
这可以说明，凶手对仓库所存物品了如指掌。
This proves that the murderer knows the warehouse inventory like the back of their hand.
事故发生后，填料工老李难耐闷热，不得已打开过松料门。
After the incident, old Lee could not withstand the heat and opened the conveyor door.
所以凶手只需在老李走后再乘升降机离开，就可以上演一出金蝉脱壳。
All the murderer had to do was take the elevator after old Lee left to make their getaway.
凶手一直在2层，怎么老李没发现他？
If the murderer was on the second floor the entire time, how come old Lee never noticed them?
因为他找到了一个完美的藏身之处。
That's because they were able to find a perfect hiding spot.
凶手必然躲在这个地方。
The murderer must have hidden this location.
《铁料堆上盖着一块巨大的防尘布，凶手和尸体当时就藏在此处。
There is a sheet of dust cover. At the time, the murderer hid underneath it along with the body.
可填料工要去产料，总会发现他呀。
The furnace charger would have found them once he went to shovel
马丁
materials.
炉烧一炉钢需要4个时辰，
It takes 8 hours to purify steel in a furnace.
只有开始时需要添一次铁料，后面只添辅料。
Iron is required at the beginning. After that, only subsidiary materials are needed.
对对，填完铁料后就不需要再去了。
Yes, that's right. There's no need for me to go back after I've shoveled the iron.
这凶手倒是很熟悉炼钢的流程。
This murderer is quite familiar with the steel-making process, huh?
若依沈先生所言，凶手是老李，岂不更省事？
Based on what Mr. Shen said, wouldn't it be easier to say old Lee was the murderer?
也是，整个2层只有他一个人，想藏尸体易如反掌。
That's true. He's the only person on the second floor. It would be easy for him to hide a body.
不是我啊，我老李是无罪代价版，太冤枉了呀！
It wasn't me. That's like putting a cange on an innocent man. I've been robbed.
沈先生，这你是最清楚的，真的不是我呀！
Mr. Shen, you know this more than anyone else. It really wasn't me.
考虑到这个证据，我认为老李不会是凶手。
Considering this piece of evidence, I believe old Li was not the murderer. I
这件沾满铁锈的新工服，被人丢在了仓库里。
I was pretty. My gut was telling me it's okay. If it was him, he wouldn't need to get rid of the fact that he was wearing a uniform, because he would be wearing a uniform anyway. It's somebody who shouldn't have been covered in the charging area. So the only one who wouldn't need to hide that they were in the charging area is old Li. This new uniform stained with rust was discovered by someone and left in the warehouse.
工服只有前胸和膝盖处沾了大面积铁锈，同时还有划痕，其他部位均无劳作痕迹。
Only the chest and knees areas of the uniform were stained extensively with rust.
铁锈只有铁料堆中的废钢上有，
And rust only appears on the heap of iron scrap.
而痕迹分布也符合在铁料堆中趴着的姿势。
It suggests the wearer lying on his front in the iron heap.
如果凶手是老李，他没有必要躲在铁料堆中。
If old Li was the murderer, there was no need for him to hide in the iron heap.
的确没必要。他的工作本来就在2层，而且老李身上沾铁锈也没什么稀奇，
Indeed, his job is there anyway. It's not unusual for old Li to be stained with
反
rust.
而是平时不穿工服、身上不该有铁锈的人才会这么做。
Instead, a person who doesn't usually wear a uniform is more likely to do so.
所以凶手很可能不是工人。
Which means the murderer most likely isn't a worker. Good night, Jasmine.
但他又很熟悉仓库中的物品和炼钢的流程。
Yet they are familiar with the inventory in the warehouse and the steel making process.
文小姐，还要加上可以伪造绝笔信。
Miss Wen, being able to forge a suicide note should also be taken into consideration.
自然，
I don't know. Can he speak Chinese well enough to forge a Chinese suicide note? Is my concern.
凶手不仅会写字，还善模仿他人笔记。
The murderer can not only write, but is capable of imitating others' handwriting.
看来沈先生心中已有定论，时间紧迫，还请快快揪出凶手。
I don't. Appears Mr. Shen has come to a conclusion. Please identify the murderer as soon as possible. My gut tells me it's him. But why? Mr. Robinson doesn't speak Chinese well enough, I don't think. Kuji does know Lee well enough to know his habits that he would leave in time. The murder itself took place before everyone clocked in, is what the time card said. And then obviously once everyone clocked in, then was the fake suicide. We know Kuji was here late. Because he was with Li Cheng. However, if the hook was moved while he was out at lunch, which is what old Lee claims was why he didn't hear the hook move, then it couldn't be Kuji either, because that's his alibi, is that he didn't hear the hook move because Kuji and he were out having lunch. I'm torn between Kuji and Ho Su Hang, because it could be Lee. Because I don't remember anybody fraudulently clocking, no. They specifically called out that somebody would have to know old Lee pretty well to count on him unlocking the door and escaping that way. I don't remember anybody fraudulently clocking. What would Ho's motive be, though? I think I did see somewhere one of the background workers talking about I mean, for that matter, what would Ku's motive be? I did see the background workers talking briefly about Ho is probably going to be the foreman now. Lee could have been trying to get rid of him because he was causing problems with the ironworks, but I feel like this would cause more problems with the ironworks than like this mysterious murder. Like, this person set it up to look like a haunting. Like, that's gonna be way worse. And they kind of felt like for Ho, maybe. I'm saying I'm trying to like narrow down. I don't think Lee would try and do that, like try and make his own ironworks have the reputation of being haunted. That's mad. I think that that's far worse for the ironworks reputation than what the guy was killing, like what the guy who died was doing to it. So if he was going to kill him, making it so mysterious. Although, I guess the haunting thing might not have been the intent, right? The intent was just the suicide thing. He might not have counted on the workers
jumping to ghosts. Like, to like, I guess haunting is the wrong word. A better translation would be cursed. Because it's not a matter of they thought that he was a ghost, they thought that he was possessed by, like, the thing and them being bad. I have to go to the washroom really badly, though. But I've been trying to hold it because I've been trying to think of it. But I will think on it while... No, not that one. That one. So Beam will keep company. I'll be right back. Start locking in your answers, but... Okay, first of all, Pocket Cow, how dare you? Oh, I'm clicking the fucking music start button over and over again to try and get my head. This is the one thing I don't like the headphone. The the earbuds, when you touch them, start and stop things. Which a lot of things do. But first of all, they don't seem to have. I much prefer when the headphones turn up and down the volume when you touch them instead of start and stop things. Which doesn't seem to be the case. I can't figure out how to do it at all, if so. But I'm still not used to trying to get these headphones on properly. And because of the way they have to sit in your ear, I can't figure out how to do it without, like, touching the thing. They might handle it by the brother interrupting before the brother / dark side of Shen. I'm not sure if it's his brother or if it's him. Or what's going on with it, but alright. Hi, baby. Are you about to be in the way right now? Is that a baby who wants to jump up? I know, I see. Yeah, I know. Yeah, you're just gonna lay here, half on my keyboard? Okay, try not to press anything, please. Let me scoot my keyboard a little bit. I know, baby. It's fully laying on my hand right now. Okay, baby. I know. Alright. Alright, so... my gut is telling me Ho. Lee feels like it's just too damaging to the reputation of his... Plus, he's the one that called us here, I'm pretty sure. And he could have just not done that. I think Mr. Robinson doesn't speak enough Chinese to do the fake suicide note, and Shen specifically reminded us to consider that. Well, do you mean, like, he's not the foreman, that's the thing. He's doing foreman duties right now because the guy died, but the guy who died is the foreman. Let's go with Ho. If it's not Ho, I think it's Ku. Because the two big things for me is that they called out that the person would know Lee very well. But, again, I think Ku has a half alibi.
本案最大的嫌疑人是你，何先生。
The prime suspect of this case is you, Mr. Ho. Did I get it right?
何思氏倒是完全符合每一个条件，尤其是模仿笔记。
Supervisor Ho does meet all of the conditions, especially the one about imitating handwriting.
许恒，这是怎么回事？
Shu-ha, what is the meaning of this?
大人，我想，沈先生应该是弄错了吧？
Your Honor, I believe that Mr. Shen is probably mistaken.
假设沈先生推理成立，丁教木被人杀害后，凶手又将遗体拖上平楼2层。
If Foreman Ting was murdered, the murderer had to drag his body to the second floor.
可在下区一介书生，手无缚鸡之力，怕是办不到啊。
I'm just a feeble scholar. It would have been impossible for me to do so.
这并不难，你只需借助这件物品即可。
Would not have been so difficult as long as you use this for support. The moved crane.
辅料填进炉子后，有半个时辰空闲。这期间，老李通常会离开车间。
After charging materials into the furnace, Old Lee usually takes a break from work for 1 hour.
你知道老李的这个习惯，于是你趁老李不在时，
You knew about Old Lee's habit, so you took advantage of Lee's absence.
启动吊钩，将尸体运上平炉2层。
Started the crane hook and transported the corpse to the second floor furnace area.
沈先
Good
生
news.
说认为
We
在下是
still
凶
don't
手
know，how it
那
handles
便当
false
在下是凶手
accusations.
好了。
It's pretty clear that we're right. If Mr. Shen thinks I'm the murderer, then fine. Go on and regard me as a murderer.
许恒，沈先生受本办直托查案，检举可疑之人是职责所在。
Xu Hang, I entrusted him to investigate this case. It's his duty to report suspicious
你若
people.
有异议，能自证清白，那是最好。
If you have objections, it would be best if you proved your innocence.
会办大人不必强求何思氏自证清白。
You do not need to force Supervisor Ho to prove his innocence, Deputy
我既
Administrator.
怀疑何思氏，自然会举证证明。
Since I suspect Supervisor Ho, naturally I will provide evidence to prove it.
君子不可辱，善人不可欺。沈先生就不必惺惺作态了。
A gentleman should not be humiliated. There's no need for hypocrisy, Mr. Shen.
既然如此，何先生可愿与沈某辩论一番？
In that case, would Mr. Ho be willing to have a debate with me?
真金不怕火炼，身正不怕影邪。
True gold does not fear fire. I shall not succumb to your injustice.
敢问沈先生怀疑在下的理由是什么？
Oh, this is
沈某
new.
之所以视何先生为最大嫌疑人，是因为何先生最为符合前序调查所总结之凶手特征。
在下也曾读过《穆勒明学》一书，知道推论要讲逻辑，气力不大，熟悉仓库，懂炼钢，晚到现场。非要说这是凶手特征的话，在下的确是符合条件的。不过，这不等同于我就是凶手吧？正如钢轨的主要成分为铁，且十分坚固，此为它的特征。但不能说所有铁质坚固的东西都是钢轨吧？这是一个
人是人，钢是钢，人的行动具有复杂性，其所反映出的特征
No, this is very different from his attorney.
又岂能与钢轨相提并论？
沈先生，我只想知道，你是否认为所有铁质坚固的东西都是钢轨？
当然不全是，但
同理，谁也没法认定熟悉仓库、晚到现场的人就一定是凶手。人与钢之间的差异的确很大，但是人与人之间也千差万别。你所列的种种凶手特征，也只是众多可能性中的一种而已。
可是
仅凭少数几种可能性就认定某个人是凶手，这是不是太草率了呢？
How we usually... Oh, I did it
正
wrong.
如钢轨的主要成分为铁，且十分坚固，此为它的特征。但不能说所有铁质坚固的东西都是钢轨吧？这是一个典型的推论谬误。沈先生，你说呢？
何先生这是在偷换概念。我所述的是最大嫌疑人，而非凶手。诚然，具备凶手特征的人不必然成为凶手，但凶手却必定存在于满足此类特征的人之中。这样的人都有成为凶手的
I
嫌
made a
疑。
mistake.
沈
So the
先生
way
一口
we-
一个嫌犯，一口一个凶手，
I can't pause and
这
talk.
才是
is the
真正的
problem.
偷换概念，误导众人。你所谓的推理，都是基于证言的猜测而已。其实没有证据能证明发生了命案吧？凶手气力小，用吊钩。
确认命案是因为在这公事房中发现了血迹，这里才是案发的第一现场。
这怎么可能？
阿
I
福制
don't
作了一
think
种
Ace
显血试
Attorney
剂，遇
is
血之后会发光。
哪有这样的
real
药
time
剂？
like
我怎么没
this.
听说
Is
过？
my point. I think it's like
你
how
不过
we
是在虚
usually
张
do
声势。
these.
会办大人可是亲眼见证了我们调查的过程哦。这还不信？要不要我当面测给你看啊？即便是很久以前的擦洗过的血，也能显现出来哦。
很久以前， 阿福小兄弟说的没错呀，那可能是很久之前的痕迹。若是很久以前的痕迹，怎能认定昨晚发生过命案呢？没有证据能证明这些痕迹是昨晚产生的吧？老丁可是每天都要把自己反锁在公事房里的，谁知？
我能证明血溅的时间。公事房门边墙上的血迹到图纸处就中断了，图纸后面的墙上也没有发现任何血迹，这说明墙上的图纸曾被人替换过。中断部分的血迹存在于被换掉的图纸上，而墙上图纸被替换的时间就在昨晚。
那也说明不了什么呀。谁知道被替换的图纸上是不是早就有血迹了？我印象中的那2张图纸可是污迹斑斑的哦。
何先生，你还是没有意识到问题的关键。我之所以能确定图纸被换的时间，是因为昨天傍晚文记者曾拍下公事房的照片，照片中墙上贴的是旧图纸，上面并没有血迹，说明血溅的时间就在昨晚。
沈先生能言善辩，是在下输了。
I hope you guys could. I could not possibly have read that fast enough out loud. So I hope you guys followed it okay. I very much apologize to anybody who I have been reading out loud for to keep it accessible enough, but there's no. I can't switch the voice acting to English. I don't think. I've played part of one Ace Attorney game. So I don't know if there's parts that are like real time like that. As far as I know, it's like how we usually do these discussions, where I'm just clicking the presenting the evidence, and then they'll say something, and I'll be like, no, because this evidence, like how these usually are. I don't think there's like real time sections like that. That was intense. You have a silver tongue, Mr. Shun. I admit defeat.
这么说，你是认罪了？
So you're pleading guilty?
此言差矣，
That's not the case.
在下只是输了辩论，何罪之有？
All I did was lose a debate. Where's the crime in that?
况且，刚才的辩论完全建立在一个假设之上。
Moreover, the debate we had just now is entirely based on an assumption.
什么假设？
What assumption?
小兄弟所谓的试剂，确实可以验出血迹。
That little Afu's reagent is actually able to detect bloodstains.
我曾受训于厂办化学学堂，自是亦读过不少西洋书籍。
I studied chemistry at the Ironworks School. I've also read countless foreign books.
荧光染料是见过不少，遇血能发光的试剂却闻所未闻。
I've seen a number of fluorescent dyes, but I've not heard of a blood detection reagent.
说不定，那只是白水变色之类的街头戏法。
It's possible it's just a street trick, like changing the color of water or something.
我的事迹怎么就成街头戏法了？
How is my agent just a street trick now?
它的主要成分是卢米诺和双氧水，
It's mainly composed of luminol and hydrogen peroxide.
血液中的铁能催化双氧水分解，生成单氧。
The iron in blood can catalyze the decomposition of hydrogen peroxide to generate monooxygen.
单氧又能氧化卢米诺，才使它发光的。
Monooxygen can oxidize luminol. That's what makes it glow.
你既然读过书，应该知道这其中原理吧？
You should understand the principle behind it, since you've read books.
也就是说，所谓显血，实际检测的是铁喽。
So, that means the detection of blood is actually the detection of iron? Here, in an ironworks? He's actually kind of got us there. I mean, iron doesn't smooge all around the ground in that kind of cast-off pattern. But, like, it's a pretty solid comeback.
是啊，即便是微量的铁也能检测出来。
That's right, even the tiniest amount of iron can be detected.
小兄弟，这里是铁厂，到处都是铁。
Afu, this is an ironworks. Iron is everywhere.
钢锭、铁器之类的，一般不会误报，往往是铁锈或者含铁的试剂会导致误报。
Generally, steel ingots and ironware won't give false positives, but rust or iron reagents will.
之前老丁背着骆秉生先生在公事房里做实验，还引发过爆炸。
He's right about that, though, like that the cast-offs could be from the explosions. Foreman Ting used to conduct experiments in the office that even resulted in explosions.
若是迸溅了某种含铁的试剂，也未可知啊。
It's also possible that some reagent containing iron was splashed at the time.
这倒也有可能。
Well, that could be possible.
但血迹形态，
But the pattern of the bloodstain.
你都不能确定的是不是血，谈何血迹形态？
You can't even be sure they are bloodstains. What is there to say about the
沈
pattern?
先生的推断，实难令在下信服。
It's hard for Mr. Shen's deduction to convince me. I mean, it's not you I need to convince.
许衡所说也有一定道理。
Shang Heng also has truth to his words.
大人，依在下之浅见，沈先生所分析之种种，都只是他的臆想罢了。
Your Honor, in my humble opinion, all of Mr. Shen's deductions are just mere assumptions.
人命关天，此事若是处理草率了，难免将来督办大人怪罪。
Your Honor, murder is a serious crime. This matter should never be handled carelessly.
事不宜操之过急。
It would be inappropriate to act with undue haste.
先生，都怪我考虑不周。
Shen, it's my fault for being thoughtless.
含铁的试剂确实可以让卢米诺发光。
A reagent containing iron would indeed cause luminol to glow.
现在和司事坚称没有发生凶案，感觉会办大人快要被说服了。
I'll insist that a murder didn't take place, and Mr. Lee seems he's almost convinced now.
我们该怎么办？
What should we do?
咱们再想别的办法证明。
We need to think of another way to prove it.
没有尸体，血迹又不被认可，还有什么能证明这是凶杀案？
No corpse, bloodstains aren't being taken into consideration. What else is there to prove?
凶器，
Murder weapon.
指出凶器，也能证明发生了命案。
Once a murder weapon is identified, we can prove this was a homicide.
不愧是先生，那么快就有了思路。
You're the best, Shen. You got an idea right away.
啊？可是这么短时间，怎么找凶器啊？
But how can we find the murder weapon in such a short amount of time?
对手那么狡猾，肯定已经把凶器销毁掉了。
Suspect
这
is
在
so
铁厂里再容易不过了。
The suspect is cunning. They must have already destroyed the murder weapon.
凡有接触，必留痕迹。证据不是不存在，只是未被发现。
All contact leaves traces. The evidence is not non-existent, but undiscovered.
以本物之相，其本事之相，次第安顿于各处所。
All objects and all images settle in different locations sequentially.
这个图形看起来竟有些眼熟。
The figure looks quite familiar. Is it the camera? Is it the little feet on the camera?
会留下这么大血迹的东西，应该是凶器吧？
Something that could leave such a large bloodstain should be the murder weapon, right?
我知道了，凶器是
The murder weapon was... Well. No, I mean the like little rings, but it's specifically this little. I mean, the only thing that's an object is like the hooks, but yeah, but they're small. We have a. He specifically wants a like the big. Yep, you're right. It is the money bag. Because there's a money bag in the picture. But they said it was long, I thought. Maybe that was a translation thing. Maybe they meant to say... Maybe they meant to say heavy. But why would... I guess, is it stitched? I could have swore they said long earlier. But maybe I'm misremembering. But I'm not sure why... Yeah, I'm not sure why a sack, a symbol on a sack, like that would be dye, I would have thought. So I'm not sure how it would have left. I guess it's embroidered. Yeah, exactly. I think it's stitched right on there. So yeah, it has to be the coins, right?
凶器就是银元。
The murder weapon was silver coins.
银元？沈先生真以为有钱能使鬼推磨吗？
Silver coins. Do you literally believe that money makes the mayor go?
何先生，这不是普通的银元，而是从你那儿领到的工钱。
Mr. Ho, these are not just ordinary silver coins, but the wages received from it.
公事房地面的血迹印上了2处花纹，其中一处正是银元上的纹样。
There were 2 bloodstained symbols on the floor, one of which appeared on the silver coin.
可是沈先生，区区几枚银元如何杀人？
How could a few silver coins be able to kill anyone, Mr. Shen?
这件证据会告诉我们，银元如何成为凶器。
This piece of evidence will prove blah blah blah.
让银元成为凶器的关键，就在这其中。
The key to making the silver coins, the murder weapon lies within this.
沈先生，这张照片有何玄机？还请直接指出。
Mr. Shen, if there is any mystery within this photo, please point it out directly.
一枚银元难以杀人，1袋银元却足以成为凶器。
As I look back at the footage later, they might have accidentally said long instead of heavy. Or big. I don't want to like send them corrections because it feels mean, because I think this game is wonderfully made. but they specifically have a pop-up at the beginning of the menu that's like, yo, we're a small team. Please let us know if there's any translation errors. And I'm like, okay, as long as it's genuinely what you want. I don't... Like, it's fine. There are teeny tiny ones that I would never bother to send in. But the two that were slightly confusing and made me, like, doubt myself for the actual murderer should probably be sent in. Specifically, if they really did say long instead of heavy. And that one line that was, like, I genuinely did not understand. The one line from his, like, memory guy. It was left or something. I don't know. I can't remember what it said, but it didn't seem to make any sense in context. It may be impossible to kill with one coin, but a bag of coins is enough to be a murder weapon.
诸位请看，这是钱袋上的汉阳铁厂标志。
Please see here. This is the emblem of the Hanyang Iron Works on the money bag.
这是在现场找到的另一处血迹。
Plus, you can see the like texture of the like sack material for the bag. It's pretty good. This is another blood stain found at the crime scene.
其中的符号与铁厂标志的下半部分完全吻合。
Its pattern is perfectly consistent with the lower half of the ironworks emblem on the bag.
凶手在行凶之后，将沾血的钱袋放在地上，因此留下了痕迹。
After killing, the murderer put the bloodied bag onto the floor, leaving behind a trace.
什么钱袋？什么银元？
What money bag? What silver coins?
何先生，若钱袋不是凶器，你为何要用头巾包裹工钱呢？
Mr. Ho, if the money bag wasn't the murder weapon, why did you wrap the wages in a headcloth? That's right, he was weirdly not using a bag this morning when he was handing out the money. He had them all sitting in a headcloth.
许恒，照片中的钱袋本班认得，的确是你常用之物。
Shahang, I recognize the money bag in the photo. It is indeed something you often use.
这到底是怎么回事？你的钱袋呢？
What is going on? Where is your money bag?
会办大人，何司是建议您提早发工钱，表面上是为了安抚人心。
Mr. Lee, Supervisor Ho suggested that you pay the wages in advance to reassure people.
实际上是为了销毁凶器。
When in reality, it was to dispose of the murder weapon.
这个行为足以说明，
This behavior alone is enough to show.
何许恒，你就是杀人凶手。
Shun. I need to fucking look up how to say the name. You are the murderer. I was saying it, I think, correctly earlier, and then I fucking lost it. You're covering your eyes, Bean? Is it too scary? He can't look.
大人，今早属下疏忽，不慎将钱袋弄破一角。
Your Honor, I accidentally ripped the corner of the money bag this morning due to my negligence.
为避免钱币丢失，遂改用头巾包裹。
To prevent the loss of silver coins, I used a headcloth to wrap around the money instead.
那破损的钱袋，属下随手丢弃了。
I got rid of the damaged money bag without a second thought.
哼，是把钱袋销毁了吧？
You destroyed it, didn't you?
银元上的血可以洗掉，钱袋上的却洗不掉。
The blood on the silver coins can be washed away, but the blood on the money bag can't.
血迹？哪有什么血迹？
Blood? What blood is there?
小兄弟，别忘了，你的药剂
Don't forget, young boy, you're a reagent.
无法确定地上的痕迹是血还是含铁的试剂。
Can't determine whether the traces on the floor are bloodstains or a reagent containing iron.
真不懂你们是如何得出在下是凶手的结论的。
I seriously have no idea how you came to the conclusion that I'm the murderer.
说到底，你们没有决定性的证据能将这事与我联系在一起。
In the end, you have no conclusive evidence to connect this matter to me. You...
看来， 只有找到能直接证明何思是参与了案件的证据，
The
才
only
能
way
让
to
他彻底认罪。
The only way to nail him down is to find direct evidence that proves Supervisor Ho was involved.
是什么样的证据呢？
What kind of evidence could it be?
不如由我来帮你梳理一遍案情。
How about I help you sort out the events of this case?
不必了，
There's no need.
我自己就可以。
I can do this myself.
回顾案件发生的过程，思考凶手会在哪个环节留下痕迹。
Review the whole case, figure out which part of the murder's plans would leave traces.
再把能证明何思是参与其中的证据出示出来。
Then I need to present the evidence that proves Supervisor Ho was involved.
在公事房，他以钱袋为凶器杀害了丁将姆，然后细致地清理了现场。
In the office, he murdered Ting with a bag of coins, then carefully cleaned up the crime scene.
趁老李离开，他利用吊钩将尸体运上2层，并隐藏起来。
When old Lee was away, he used the crane hook to move the body to the second floor.
他在仓库中将硬质橡胶块削成栏杆的大小，在工人上工前布置好栏杆。
He shaved rubber in the warehouse and set up the rubber railing before working out.
完成后，他藏身于防尘布下的铁料堆中，等待合适时机出现。
Once finished, he hid in the iron cover with the tarpaulin, waiting for the right moment to appear.
开始浇筑钢钉时，他利用钢水包遮挡，制造丁将木坠楼的假象，并藏身于平炉右侧的走道。
When the casting began, he used the ladle to create the incident and hid in the
待
corner.
老李去平炉正面查看爆炸现场时，他在藏回防尘布下的铁料堆中。
When old Leech went to check on the explosion, he hid back in the iron heap.
最后，等老李离开后，他再利用升降机离开现场。
Finally, after old Lee left, he used the elevator to flee the scene.
以上就是凶手的7个主要作案步骤了。
These are the 7 main steps in the murderer's plan.
他会在哪个环节留下痕迹呢？
Which part of his plan could leave traces?
我需要在那个环节将能证明他参与其中的证据出示出来。
I need to present the evidence that proves he was involved in that part of the plan. I feel like this is the part that leaves the most evidence, but I don't really know what it means by leaving... This leaves the most traces, but I don't have any evidence of what traces it's leaving. Or, like, of what it's left right now. That's what I mean. I guess this? It's either this or it's this. So it's either the grayish-white powder and the... I feel like this is the better of the two things. Because... like, a uniform with rust is...
何思氏的身上，也许能找到橡胶的碎屑。
Good, good, good. Because I was like, will it let me look for it? Yeah, okay. Perhaps I will be able to find rubber residue on Supervisor Ho.
不错的思路。
Good idea.
不过，你刚出示的证据能证明这件事吗？
However, can the evidence you just presented prove this?
不能。
It cannot.
我手头并没有证据能证明何思氏处理过橡胶。
I have no evidence on hand to prove that Supervisor Ho processed rubber.
不过，何思氏会不会在其他的环节中沾染上其他的痕迹呢？
Okay, that wasn't it. Shit. It's the other one I thought then. However, is it possible that Supervisor Ho was stained with other traces in another part of his plan? Drat. I'm surprised about that one, because, like, we're gonna have to look for traces on him either way, right? Does it matter which version?
工服，
Uniform.
何思是一定穿过那件工服，
Supervisor Ho must have worn that uniform.
但怎么能证明他穿过工服呢？
How do I prove that he wore the uniform from before?
如果无法证明，一定又会被他狡辩过去，
If it cannot be proved, he will try and quibble his way out again. Yeah, that's the
就
part
没
I
有
was
别
worried
的
about.
证据能证明他曾藏在铁料堆中吗？
Is there no other evidence to prove he once hid inside the iron heap?
"决定性的证据
I see.
就在何思氏身上。
Okay, what it's saying is I don't have anything on me to detect rubber,
要是
But I
没什
have
么事
something
的话
on，me to detect
在下就告退
the
了。
iron. If there's nothing else, I'll be taking my leave.
且慢，
Hold on.
沈先生还有何指教？
What else can I do for you, Mr. Shen?
既然你坚称自己没有杀人，
Since you insist you did not murder anyone,
为证清白，可否让阿福检测下你的头发和衣服？
to prove your innocence, could you allow Afu to test your hair and clothes?
沈仲平，你不要欺人太甚。
Shen Changpin, you're going too far.
许恒，你既是清白的，验验又何惧？
Zhu, since you're innocent, why would you be afraid of a test?
大人，我没有杀人，身上自然测不出血迹。
Your Honor, I didn't murder anyone. It's only natural bloodstains won't be detected on me.
但士可杀，不可辱啊！
But I'd rather die than be humiliated.
这可怪了，此举是为了还你清白，怎么成了欺负你？
That's strange. It seems by doing so, your innocence will be restored.
古人宁愿粉身碎骨，也要留清白在人间。
The ancients were willing to break all the bones in their body to prove their innocence.
何先生却畏惧区区几滴试剂吗？
You're telling me you're afraid of a few drops of reagents, Mr. Ho?
在下清清白白，自然无所畏惧。
I'm completely innocent. Of course I'm not afraid.
大人，我还需要一位铁厂人员配合做测试，最好不是工人。
I need a staff member in the ironworks to take this test. Someone who isn't a worker.
古训弟，你来配合。
Patrolman Ku, cooperate with them.
好嘞，
Sure thing. Afu used the reagent to test Supervisor Ho and Patrolman Ku
看呐，
respectively.
何思石发光了。
Look, Supervisor Ho is glowing.
难道在他的衣服上验出了血？
Could it be that blood is detected from his clothes?
绝不可能！
That's impossible.
我从未沾过血。
I've never been stained with blood.
让卢米诺发光的不是血，
What made the luminol glow was not blood,
而是残留在何思氏身上的铁锈。
but in fact rust that was left on Supervisor Ho.
这就是决定性的证据。
This is the conclusive evidence.
你在说什么呀？
What are you talking about?
何先生，铁锈中的铁与血液中的铁一样，都会让卢米诺发光。
Mr. Ho, the iron and rust will also cause the luminol to glow.
这是刚刚你自己一直在反复强调的事。
This is something you yourself have been repeatedly emphasizing moments ago.
在你的作案手法中，有一个关键环节，
There's a very crucial part of your plans.
为避免与老李相遇，你需要反复在加料区的防水布下躲藏。
To avoid running into Old Lee, you had to hide underneath the tarpaulin multiple times.
凡有接触，必留痕迹。
All contact leaves traces.
防水布下都是锈迹斑斑的废钢，防水布的内侧则沾满了铁屑。
There is rusty steel scrap underneath the tarpaulin.
即便当时你套了工服，
Even if you wore a uniform on the outside,
你的袖口、衣角和头发上，也势必会沾上铁锈。
the cuffs of your sleeves, the hems of your clothes, and your hair are bound to be stained.
我常年在铁厂工作，沾染铁元素也很正常。
I'm working in the ironworks all year round. It's only normal for me to be stained with iron.
我料定你会如此辩解，特意找了寻丁作为参照。
I knew you would say so. Which is why I asked the patrolman to act as a control in the
他
experiment.
同在铁厂工作，却并没有太多的卢米诺反应。
He also works in the ironworks, yet there is little to no luminol reaction on him.
这又作何解释呢？
How would you explain this then?
这个，那个，
Well, this, that's.
我今日早上盘点铁矿石时，不慎摔了一跤，
When I was making an inventory of iron this morning, I accidentally tripped and
想
fell.
来是那时弄脏了袖口和衣角吧。
I guess the cuffs and the hem of my shirt were dirty then.
天下哪有那么巧的事？
How could there have been such a coincidence?
有时就是无巧不成书。
Sometimes it's just the luck of the draw.
何先生，不知你是如何摔倒的呢？以至于辫子上都是铁锈。
Mr. Ho, how did you fall so that rust got all over your braid?
脚底打滑，不慎摔了个仰面。
I slipped and fell on my back.
何先生撒谎露馅喽！
You just lied and gave yourself away, Mr. Ho.
你的辫子上没多少蓝光，远不如头顶上的多。
There's not near as much blue glow on your braid as there is on the top of your head.
你诓我，
You tricked me.
真是胡闹！
This is outrageous.
何先生，我们可以再比较一下工服上的痕迹，
Mr. Ho, we could also make a comparison with the traces on the uniform.
看看工服领口和衣袖处的痕迹，与你身上的痕迹是否相连。
We will see if the traces on the uniform match with the traces on you. Yeah, they would line up where the streaks are, basically.
离开平炉2层后，你必须尽快返回众人的视野中，以免招来怀疑。
After leaving the furnace area, you had to show up as soon as possible to avoid suspicion.
而后，你还要与会办大人商议提前发放工钱，借此销毁凶器。
Then you discuss with the deputy administrator about paying wages early to destroy the weapon.
再之后，我与阿福便已赶到铁厂开始调查。
Literally, the one thing I don't understand about the story, and I wonder if they'll explain it, is how and why the victim was wearing a head wrap to cover the bloodstains. Like, you're telling me he was attacked, left, then came back in while attacked, and didn't be like, hey, somebody help, Ho hit me with a bag.
因此，你并没有太多的时间处理自己身上的痕迹。
Unless the only person who said he was wearing the head thing was him. I thought the workers also said it, but I could be misremembering because it's been a bit. Therefore, you did not have the time to deal with the traces on your person.
这是刚刚你乱了方寸的原因。
That was the reason you were so flustered earlier.
认罪吧，你已经无可狡辩了。
Confess, you have no more excuses.
没错，是我干的。
Okay, some good bye pets from nowhere. Hello, around. Good night, nowhere. Yeah, it's pretty late for you. I'm surprised you're still up. That's right, I did it.
许恒，这究竟是为什么？
Shaha? Why in the world would you do this?
许恒，我找到改进工艺的方法了。
Jaha, I have found a method that can improve the steelmaking process.
今后我们再也不用采买国外的高价焦炭了。
From this game on, we won't have to buy expensive coke from overseas anymore.
咱们的成本比起德国和日本低了1/3，而质量几乎一致。
Our cost is 1/3 lower than that of Germany and Japan, yet the quality is almost the same.
老丁，你终于做到了。
Formanting, you've finally done it.
我这大半辈子都在等这一天，现在好了，
Been waiting my whole life for this day, and now
咱们的铁路总算能用上自家产的钢轨了。
Our railways can finally use steel rails made by ourselves.
老丁，伦敦的检测报告回来了。
Foreman Ting, a test report from London is here.
报告上说，用你的新法子所炼成的钢轨，含磷量超标，有断裂之虞。
It says the steel rails made with your new method have a high risk of fragmentation.
断裂？这不可能！
Fragmentation? That's impossible.
我们刚刚做完机械性能测试，没有任何问题。
We've just completed tests on its mechanical properties. There were no problems at all.
报告我放公示房了，你自己看吧。
I'll leave the report in your office. You could take a look for yourself.
没道理啊！明明每个环节都……
This doesn't make sense. Every segment was
老
undoubtedly...
丁，休息一下吧，你3天没合眼了。
Foreman Ting, you should take a break. You haven't slept in 3 days.
检测，一定是检测报告出了问题。
This test. There must be something wrong with this test report.
你如果不信，也可以找骆先生检测，应该还是焦炭的问题。
You can ask Mr. Robinson to test it again. However, Foreman Ting, it's still because of the code.
接受现实吧。
It's time to accept reality.
李大人已经决定继续采买威斯特伐利亚焦炭了。
Mr. Lee has already decided to continue purchasing Westphalia
老
coal.
丁，这主要还是考虑到生产时间的问题。
Foreman Ting, please understand this is mainly due to consideration for the production time.
那倒要恭喜何思氏了。
Well, then I should congratulate you, Mr. Supervisor
Latia.
Ho.
你什么意思？
Foreman Ting, what do you mean?
这几个月，全车间都被你们骗得团团转。
You've been fooling the entire factory for months.
说吧，你跟骆炳生私受了他们多少好处？
Tell me, how many benefits have you and Robinson received from them?
老丁，你要干什么？老丁，你别过来！
Foreman Ting, what are you doing? Don't come near me.
老丁，老丁，
Foreman Ting? Foreman Ting?
这么说，你是情急之下，出于自保，才不慎用钱袋砸死了老丁。
You mean in a moment of desperation, you accidentally killed Foreman Ting in self-defense, and then on the spot invented a ridiculously complex method of cover-up that apparently, according to your story, required absolutely no forethought whatsoever?
是，
Yes.
沈先生，你怎么看？
We know a lot about the guy who died, and he did have a hair trigger. Like, it sounds like something he would do. I feel like it's crazy for him to have come up with that plan on the spot like that to clean it up. My only hesitation is I don't really otherwise understand the motive. It being self-defense clears up the motive. It not being self-defense makes the convoluted plot easier to swallow.
But it is still like this is still a story. So like yeah, in the real world it'd be pretty unlikely for him to come up with such a plot, but like that guy's accusations were true and he is being, but if he was being paid off, I don't think he would tell us his accusation. I think he would just be like, and then he got mad for me telling, like, he was like, it can't be true, you're lying to me, and then attacked me. Like, I don't think he would specifically bring up the accusation he accused him of if it's true. But I also don't think he would come up with this ridiculous plot so on the spot. But I think the lack of motive is stronger evidence than saying the convoluted plot is a bit silly, because things like this are going to be a bit silly. What do you mean about what about the bloodstains? The cast-offs claims he was repeatedly hit. You're right. You're right. Yep, you're right.
我并不认为他完全是出于自保。
I do not think he acted purely out of self-defense.
公事房地面上的血迹呈渐落状，墙上也发现了多道抛甩状的血迹。
There are projected bloodstains on the floor and cast-off patterns on the bloodstains on the wall.
这说明在丁将木流血倒地后，凶手仍多次击打他的头部。
This shows that the murderer continued to hit Ting on the head even after he fell to the ground.
如此，只是为了确保能杀死丁将木。
Doing so was just to ensure Foreman Ting's death was certain.
你杀人之后的抛尸手法环环相扣，若无提前调查模拟，
Okay.
几乎是不可能实施的。
Okay, so it's good to know that is in universe, like, that we're not supposed to just accept that kind of writing for the sake of the story. That my gut of being like, this is premeditated as fuck. Your way of disposing the body was impossible to carry out without planning in advance.
所以你在昨晚杀害丁将木，或许是临时起意。
Therefore, even if you had murdered Foreman Ting impromptu last night,
但你的杀人计划却是蓄谋已久。
your murder scheme was deliberately planned.
那真相到底是怎样的？
So what exactly is the truth?
丁教母提出，用萍香碎胶与无烟煤烧制生铁，再通过平炉去磷的炼钢方法。
Foreman Ting suggested a method of steelmaking that used cheaper materials.
这个方法大大降低了成本，自然也断了负责采买之人的财路。
This method reduced costs, but cut off purchasers' source of wealth.
于是，何思氏便与骆炳生串通一气，在检测报告上作假。
This is the reason why Supervisor Ho and Robinson colluded to falsely testify.
借此说服李会办继续购买高价焦炭，以继续从中牟利。
To persuade Mr. Li and continue purchasing pricey coke so that they could make money from it.
丁教母怀疑检测报告作假， 但却难以挑战杨元的权威。
Ting suspected the report was false, but he failed to challenge the authority of Mr. Robinson.
只能假借拜神之名，暗中进行实验，只为证明检测报告有误。
So he conducted experiments in the name of worshipping gods to prove the report was
而
wrong.
何思氏也正利用了这一点，营造丁将木自杀献祭的假象。
Yet Supervisor Ho took advantage of this as well to create the illusion of Ting's suicide.
何许航，你这个吃里扒外的东西！
Ho Shu-hang, you treacherous leech!
吃里扒外，
Leech!
大人，我这完全是为了工厂啊！
Your Honor, I did all this for the ironworks.
就算我配合骆先生改了厂内的自检报告又怎样？
So what if I cooperated with Mr. Robinson and interfered with our self-inspection
伦
report?
敦的那份报告我改得了吗？
You think I'd be able to tamper with the report in London?
什么化学检测，什么含磷量，什么流程标准，
Chemical testing, phosphorus content, standards of
那
process.
都是人家按在咱脑袋上的金箍。
They're all shackles they're forcing us to wear.
就连那些往我们身上泼脏水的报纸，都是人家的产业，
Even the newspapers besmirching us are owned by them.
人家捏着我们的命脉呢，还想拿什么去争？
They're holding our lives by the neck. What do we have that could ever counter that?
何许航，你竟全无羞耻之心！
Oh, Shu-hang, have you no shame?
大清的筑路权早都被杨大人瓜分殆尽了。
Rights to build railways in China have already been divvied up among foreign lords. So why are you stopping? If you're mad about that, then why are you stopping the guy that's trying to make it possible for it to be local?
其中的每个环节，可都是巨大的利益。
Yeah, I guess you just must be one of the people doing it somehow. There's a tremendous profit in every single
前
segment.
段时间，铁厂风头出尽，接连拿下正泰、粤汉铁路订单。
We were under the spotlight after we successfully sealed several steel rail deals a while
本是
ago.
跟在后捡拾汤羹的角色，如今却要把这桌子掀了。
We used to be runts who follow behind them, yet now you're trying to flip the table
你以
over.
为杨大人会放任铁厂继续出风头吗？
Do you think the foreign lords will allow the ironworks to continue standing in the spotlight? You!
采购高价煤，说白了就是把利益分回去一些，自然人家就不会与你为难。
By purchasing expensive coal, you're just returning a portion of the benefits back to them.
这就是你为自己中饱私囊找的理由吗？
Is this how you justify filling your own pocket?
让工厂活下去，我赚点小钱，于大于小都只是生存之道而已。
This way the ironworks will survive, and I can earn a little money, a way of living.
许航，你真是太令我失望了！实业兴国的抱负被你丢到哪里去了？
You have brought me such disappointment. Have you lost your ambition to build industry in China?
报复，报复难道能当饭吃不成？
Ambition. Can you eat ambition to sustain yourself?
处处桎梏，谈何兴国？
With shackles everywhere, how will we ever be able to improve the prosperity of the
可
country?
是，既然检测报告是假的，就说明
However, since the test report was falsified, that means
即便只能使用劣质的矿料和便宜的煤炭，丁将木还是成功炼出了好钢啊！
even though he could only use low-quality materials and cheap coal, Ting did make good steel.
那又如何？
So what?
说明炼钢技术的革新，并不只有洋人能做到啊！
It means foreigners aren't the only ones who can make innovations in steelmaking technology.
你不会天真的以为，一点点技术革新就能改变局面吧？
You can't be so naive as to think a little innovation can change the situation, can you?
不过是蚍蜉望向撼树罢了。
It's just the wishful thinking of an ant who wants to move trees.
若丁教母所做的技术革新，真如蚍蜉般微不足道，
If Foreman Ting's technical innovations are really as insignificant as
你
an
口中
ant,
的杨大人，又为何要在检测报告上使扮作假呢？
why would the foreign lords you speak of bother to falsify the test reports?
这
如果没有这一点点的革新积累，谈何自立自强？
Without the accumulation of each speck of innovation,
How can we compete with foreign companies?
愚公世代能移山，皮肤成群可撼树。
With determination, even mountains can be moved. With unity, our nation is bound to thrive.
我会将丁项目的经历写进报道，激励更多人投入实业兴国的事业中。
I will write about Foreman Ting's story in my news report so I can inspire more people.
办铁厂虽艰难万险，若只知苟且行事，后辈则永无变局之日。
So many hardships in running an ironworks. We won't succeed if we choose to muddle along.
许衡，你鼠目寸光，怎能理解这千钧之责？
Xu Heng, a man as short-sighted as you would never understand the weight of such responsibility.
来人，把何许衡押下去，传骆秉生来公事房。
Somebody take Xu Heng away and get Robinson in this office immediately. Did it. Solved.
丁将木之事，多亏了沈先生。
It's all thanks to you, Mr. Shen, that the matter of Foreman Ting is settled.
分内之事，何足挂齿。
I was just performing my duties. It is not worth mentioning.
可惜那个骆秉生竟然借口参加宴会躲了出去，会办大人千万别放过他。
Too bad Robinson ran away. Don't let him get away with this, Mr. Lee.
骆秉生之事，本办定会尽力而为。
I promise I will do my best to deal with Robinson.
沈先生，本办还有些话想单独与阿福说，不知可否？
Mr. Shen, I would like to have a few words with Afu in private. Would that be...
阿福，我在门外等你。
Afu, I will wait for you outside.
阿福，本办初次见你便觉得眼熟，你可是徐大人之子？
Afu, I thought you looked familiar ever since I saw you. Could you be the son of Mr. Hugh? Hugh?
哎，我和他长得这么像吗？
Do I look that much like him?
像，你小小年纪就如此博学多闻，颇有他的风采。
Of course. Being so knowledgeable at such a young age, it's quite a spitting image of him.
当年，你父亲担任汉阳铁厂会办时，我还是个初出茅庐的小子呢。
Back when your father was the deputy administrator of the ironworks, I was just a
真
greenhorn.
难想象会办大人曾经的样子。
It's hard to imagine what Mr. Deputy Administrator used to be like.
阿福，你看到实验室的书了吗？
Afu, have you seen the books in the laboratory?
当然，我早就仔仔细细的读过了。
Yep, I read them all super attentively, a long time ago.
那些可都是由你父亲译著的。
Those books were all written and translated by your father.
唉，可惜天妒英才，那场爆炸。
Alas, it's a shame God is jealous of talents. That explosion.
大人，都已经过去了。
Your Honor, that's all in the past.
人还是要向前看。
Yes, people need to look forward.
大人放心，我会把格物致知之学传承下去的。
Don't worry, Your Honor. I'll keep passing down the knowledge of physics.
很好，真是虎父无犬子。
Excellent. Like father, like son.
以后常回汉阳来看看，这就是你的家。
Come back and visit Hanyang often, all right? This is your home.
我会的。
I will.
久等了。
Sorry to keep you waiting.
咦，先生身上好像很香啊。
There's a good smell coming off you, Shen.
拿去
I
吧
need。to translate that. Here you go.
麻红糕，
Sesame cake!
不妨帮我试试，里面有没有蒙汗药？
You may as well help me check it to see if it is laced with any knockout drugs.
试好了，香甜松脆，没有毒。
All done! Sweet and crispy. No poison whatsoever.
哎，先生不吃吗？
Huh? Aren't you going to eat any, Shen?
我不喜食甜，而且，阿福，
I'm not a fan of sweets. Moreover, Afu. Yes? Moreover what?
我们去码头吧。
Alright, well, that's that, I guess.
薛宁大哥，你怎么在这儿？
Mr. Patrolman, what are you doing here?
老赵找不到阿武了，让我帮忙找找。
Old Chalk can't find Awu, so he asked me to help out.
军爷不妨去院子里找找看。
So you should just go look around the courtyard.
我们出来时看到阿武将今早的炉渣悄悄埋在了院子里的樟树下。
We did. We saw Ahu secretly burying this morning's slag under the camphor tree in the courtyard.
文小姐笑着给阿武偷拍了张照片，阿武发现后脸红成了大苹果。
Miss Wen smiled and took a photo of Ahu. When he noticed his face was as red as an apple.
他硬说自己不是在埋炉渣，而是在帮树松松土呢。
He insisted he wasn't burying slag, but actually helping the tree's soil loosen.
这小犟驴，就是天生嘴硬。
He's so stubborn, that little donkey boy. I guess that's the slag he doesn't want them to sell because he's worried it's haunted. So he's trying to, like, return it to the earth. Because
李
he's
大哥
like, this
现在案子
is
破了，你终于可以休息了。
this is like the closest we have to a body for the foreman, so I'm burying it. Old Lee, now that the case is solved, you can finally take a break.
哎，多亏二位，神像的事儿终于有了说法。
Thanks to you two, the statue situation has finally settled down.
这回大家不怕进公事房了吧？
No one's afraid of entering the office now, right?
不怕了，大家都说那神像里现在住着老丁。
Not at all. Everyone is saying that Foreman Ting lives inside the statue now.
老丁也会保佑我们，保佑铁厂。
Foreman Ting will bless us, and bless the ironworks too.
这样理解好像也可以。
That's one way of understanding, I guess.
帮工们也赶来接替我上工了，会办大人特意允许我多休息几日。
The helpers are willing to take over my work now. Mr. Lee allowed me to take a few days off.
这还是庄稼老汉进皇城，
Just like an old farmer entering the imperial
头
city.
一遭。
It was the first time for everything.
我呀，先回去睡一觉，醒了还是得来盯着。
I'm gonna head on home and take a nap. After that, I'll still have to come and keep watch.
这么重要的事儿，可不能出错呀。
Can't have any mistakes for something that important.
大娘，你怎么还在啊？我以为你走了。
Hey, Auntie, what are you still doing here? I thought you departed.
你这小后生，怎么说话呢？
You rascal, what a terrible thing to say.
大娘别生气，我就是担心大娘没时间休息。
You upset, Auntie? I was just worried you didn't have any time to rest.
毕竟，您可是这湖广大地上最厉害的仵作。
After all, you're the most amazing coroner across the world.
少拍马屁，还是你家先生本领高强。
Don't flatter me. Your detective is much more skillful in his abilities.
大娘谬赞，实不敢当。
Not worthy of your praise, Auntie.
你谦虚什么？
Why are you acting all modest?
之前的藏尸案，连老身都险些被蒙混过去了，倒是你识破了那把戏。
Even I was almost fooled during the case from before, but you were able to see through the trickery.
那大娘你先休息，我们下次见。
Take a rest, Auntie. See you around.
下次别见了，
rather not.
仵作和侦探碰到一块儿，还能有什么事儿？
What are the odds a coroner and a detective run into each other?
准是又出人命了。
Someone must have died. What? Someone did die. We just solved it.
这里的事情都已处理好了吗？
Have you finished handling everything here?
我已查清真相，铁厂不日便能恢复如常。
Yes. I have uncovered the truth, and the ironworks will resume production very soon.
李毅和我是多年老友，他将铁厂看作命一般。这次多亏了你们两个帮忙。
Li Yu is an old friend of mine. He regards this ironworks as his own life.
嘿嘿，
沈先生，今次数据给你回电报了。
Just a moment, please, sir. We're almost done. Mr. Shen, Golden Words Publishing House has replied to your telegram.
电报里怎么说？
What does the telegram say?
书局的督教方寒秋对那本《斗士遗阵》较为熟悉，愿意协助调查。
Supervisor Kidia Fang is familiar with the book The Confined Room Mystery and is willing to help.
太好了，先生，咱们赶紧去扬州吧。
That's great! Shen, let's go to Yangtze right away.
那就快上船吧。
Then come aboard. Alright.
那旅总诀郭影丁，汉阳松冈月空明，青山座座皆巍峨，我位于宫永求索。
So it sounds like she's rhyming in Chinese. So she's doing like little poetry couplets, essentially. Ting's determined shadow clears up the night. The moon in Hangyang is shining bright. Oh, there, she's rhyming in English too. There you go.
千锤百炼铸精魂，一片丹心留人间。君看今朝汉阳造，灼灼赤焰起惊涛。
Okay, she rhymes a little bit more in Chinese than often in Chinese than she does in English. Look what is made in Hangyang today. Watch and wonder as flame burst into the wave.
好多灵感啊！新标题有哪个好呢？
My inspiration is flowing. Which of these should I use as the new headline?
糟了，
Oh no!
先别开船，等等我。
Don't set sail yet! Wait for me! Boy, I sure hope that's not important to the plot. Even until today, Da Shou, Xing Huan, Baoding, Hebei, Guiyang, Guzhou, Jingong Mountain, Henan still use steel rails made by the Hangyang Ironworks. Huh. Cool. All right.
Jinjin.
Oh, this is still part of the the haunted furnace. But I think this is the intro to the next section, so I'll probably do the same thing again where I call it here. Even though technically this part is, like last time I did the same thing where I let the sort of in-between part be the beginning of the next episode rather than the end of this one.
I wonder. I was just going to try and take a screenshot from the video to see if I could Google image search, see what it reads. But I can't do that until I stop the recording. So... Actually, you know what? Let's see if we can find... really quick. Murders on the Yangtze River. Chapter 3. Oh. Well, this game is too small, and it doesn't have like a wiki or anything. I was like, maybe it'll say on the Wikipedia. Oh, hold on. I found sort of a Wikipedia for it. What is this? Maybe this is a Wikipedia for this company. Yeah, so few people are playing this game that right now, if you Google murders on the Yangtze River, my playthrough is my current live video is showing in the top results. Hold on, let me. Look, there's us. I am not a big enough in views or anything to normally be in those top results, but like there I am. There we are. And if you look up images, my playthroughs are showing Murders on the Yangtze River Chapter 3. There's me. There's us. That's how few videos there are on YouTube. Alright, let's see. Haunted Furnace. I guess I'll show this so that you guys see that I'm not looking up the next chapter or anything. Deductions, yeah, that's fine. Does it say, like, at the end, postscript? No, it doesn't say. Okay. I was hoping it would say on it what the, if I can figure out what that postscript means. Okay. Well, they're not gonna find me. They're in China. They're not watching my English playthrough, but this is one of my favorite detective games I've played. Like, it's up there. So I'm looking forward to playing it again. I will ostensibly be camping next week, but that is dependent on the situation. If you don't know, North Ontario is very on fire right now. And while things around where I live have settled down a little bit, we're still gonna have to keep an eye on things to make sure it's going to be safe to head out camping next week. So if I'm not streaming next week, I'm camping. If I'm camping next week, I'll stream. Or rather, if I don't end up being able to camp next week, I will go stream. But either way, we will continue after I get back. But have a good night, everybody. And I will be back soon as I am able. Bye!